Welcome back to Oxygen Not Included, everybody. We've had some advancement from the last episode. We've done a couple of streams in between. Those replays are available. And we have had quite a bit of changes. Mostly we have worked on this boiler system, which has been a lot of fun and some learning, but is not really producing exactly how we want. So we'll have to revisit that in the future. And we've also been dealing with putting some patches on a lot of heat issues. So the main focus of what I want to do today is getting our base sustainable again and having everything set up so that we have a little mini base that provides everything we need for our duplicants in a very small spot, including keeping their temperature regulated, having their food accessible, and having everything they need. And we want to be able to expand up to the 20 colonists that we want before we expand out to the other asteroids. And we're going to try to fit it all into this little area that I've cleared out. This is where our hatches used to be. We need to do some more work on moving some things around and getting everything set up. Before I do like base-wide cooling, we need to move out this liquid storage to a more permanent home, because right now we have this spaghetti wire of pipes everywhere, and so I can't run coolant wires anywhere in here. I can't, coolant loops. I mean, I can't do anything. It's too much. So we're gonna just get a very small spot that has just the basic necessities for our duplicants, including an atmosuit dock, which I already moved to a new spot here, and then we'll start moving all the other bits of the base around to more permanent setups, rather than these ones that we've just had patched together over the last several thousand or a couple thousand cycles that we've been playing. We have little things that have changed and moved and everything. I want to have it more permanent and stable. So we did make some changes up here with our Slickster production, where we added in some extra incubators so that we can try to keep this population up. I believe the issue that we're having is that the Slicksters, when they are happy, are producing eggs at a high rate. Let's see if I can find one that has the buff. Yeah, here we go. This one is groomed and it's happy. It's producing it's reproducing at 17% per cycle. So that's one every 6 cycles we get a new egg. But our Slicksters aren't staying in that state because of the mechanism we have here for killing them. I think what's happening is they're jumping down in and they're getting that confined and glum buff for a little while, and then they come back up, and it takes a minute for them to go back to being happy because they need to be groomed and all that stuff. So we're going to have to rethink how we're going to do this. But for now, what I did is I increased the number of incubators so that as we get eggs, we will definitely be lullabying and incubating them as fast as we possibly can, so that we can bring our Slickster population back up to where we want it. We'll see if it works. We may have to revisit that and make some changes, but right now we are dipping down in our calorie count, so we need to start focusing on that. But we're going to let that go for a little while to see what happens while we get this base set up. But so I'm going to get a base laid out on how we're going to have this set up, and then I will come back to you as we build it. We've gotten the first part of our new base set up. So we moved all of our bedrooms that were over on this side to this side. What we ended up doing is the rooms are a little bit shorter so that we can fit 10 into each room. That means we can fit 20 cots into just these 2 rooms, which means we'll have enough to increase our duplicates up to 20. We added in all these statues as a way to do decor bombing to increase the decor for our duplicates. So what that means is that when you look at the decor overlay, in every one of these beds, the total decor is maxed out. Some of them are maxed out a lot higher, depending on where they are in the system. I was just trying different stats just to make things look aesthetically pleasing. And then I also put a carpeted tile under the bottom left corner of every cot. And so what that does is gives this buff while the duplicates are sleeping. Tickled tootsies. So let's follow this one as they go about their day. Since they're standing on carpet, they get that. As soon as they leave the bedroom, it starts to disappear. But while they're sleeping, their stress is reduced by an extra 15% per cycle. So it just helps that if they encountered any stress during the day, so they sleep here, they get that debuff all night long, and it helps with reducing their stress for a little while. I don't know that it has too much of an effect, but I thought it was worth putting it in to see how it affected the colony. The other thing that we worked on was putting in our coolant loop, and I did this kind of as an experiment to see. My thought was if I started using petroleum for the coolant, then the petroleum would have a much wider range of temperatures, because if we look at petroleum, let's see how I can look at petroleum. Here we go. If we look at petroleum's properties, its freezing point is all the way down at minus 557, and it doesn't vaporize until 538, which means we have a much wider control over the temperature of petroleum. Issue is that the specific heat capacity and thermoconductivity of petroleum is quite a bit different than that of polluted water. So like if we look at polluted water, it's got really high specific heat capacity. So that means the amount of change that happens in the fluid is very, very slow on petroleum compared to that on polluted water. So it's going through here, and yes, it is providing cooling. It is taking some heat out of the atmosphere, but it's taking it so long to change that it's not going to cool this whole base down. So what we're going to need to do is pull this petroleum out of the loop and pump polluted water into the loop, and that will make that coolant loop much better. I just have it kind of right now just weaving through. It goes up through this radiator that I already had, and then I just put it around the edges of this area and back and forth between each layer of the bedrooms to help cool it down. Wasn't really having too much of an effect. So I'm going to get all this petroleum back out of the loop, and then we'll get some polluted water in there, and we will get things back on track with that. But you know, sometimes you just have to experiment with things to figure out how they work. And now I think I understand the specific heat capacity a little better. So I'll be back once I have that swapped out, and we'll proceed to the next part of the base upgrade. Loop has been replaced with polluted water. And it's slowly refilling everything back up in the line. We have a little gap because of the gap we had here. Normally I would not fill this reservoir all the way full, but we are going to do some expansion, so that gives us a little bit of space to move everything to. So it's back to cooling down the liquid in the pipe, and we're swapping out some of the pipes in here, because some of them were built with steel and some were built with gold. We're putting everything to gold because gold will help with the heat transfer. So we're just waiting for all of this to populate through, and then we'll see the effect that it has on the cooling in the base area here. Shouldn't take too long. We did use this pipe that we had previously used to bring petroleum in to get the petroleum back out up to the petroleum tanks, so we can remove that now because we're not going to be doing that again. That'll help with getting some of this spaghetti wires of liquid pipes out of here too, because we just took way too much going. So that can come out there. This pipe is also extraneous now, so we can remove it. This is still part of our boiler experiment. I need to work on getting that fixed. I had to reopen this area because it was that pipe was causing problems, so now any heat from there is just venting out, so I need to fix that. So let me do that real quick. We're going to bring this pipe down and around it. Clip off this end. So we're going to clip off this end. Put in insulated tiles here right away. Oh, they're actually coming pretty quick to build this. So let's cancel those tiles so we can get that pipe out of there before we put the insulated tiles in. Mainly around the base, this is what we're doing. We're getting rid of pipes that may be causing heat transfers. We're getting rid of areas where there are leaks in the heat. And slowly getting everything sorted up to where we want it to be. This area I don't think is leaking any heat anymore. I think I sealed everything up. So oh, it's going to take it a minute to get all this liquid out. So yeah, let's seal this up and then we'll fix that pipe later. Because we'll pull this wall out and then we'll rip the pipe out once it's empty. So that'll seal that up to keep heat from coming out this way. Because right now we have all the heat from this geyser is just leaking into the environment. So we're going to continue going around getting those types of things cleaned up and continue on the expansion of our base. The next thing to do is to determine if I think I'm going to continue to keep the food storage where it is in the mess hall and work around that because I don't really want to move the deep freezer, but I'm not quite sure yet. So we'll be back once I have the next stage of the base in place. Still working on moving some things around the base and getting rid of some heat problems. I noticed a pretty big one. This airlock that I built to get access into the magma chamber, I had thought that it would be high enough that the magma wouldn't reach to it. I was incorrect. The magma built up, got to the point where it was touching this door. The door hit 1600 degrees. There was oil in these 4 tiles here, so the heat transferred into the oil, which turned it into petroleum and then turned it into sour gas. But when it turned into petroleum, it got up onto here, which transferred the heat over into this oil, which is at 365 degrees and climbing. Well, now it's decreasing because I'm breaking off the connection. But it was about to turn this into petroleum, which then would have turned into gas, and heat would have just leaked right out into the base. So we caught it just in time. I'm just going to fill this whole thing in with piles so that we can just destroy that sour gas, because I don't want the sour gas getting out into the base. And then we'll have a solid area here for preventing heat. And then once we need to get back in here, I'll build a new airlock above that goes back down in. That way this magma can go all the way up to the top, and it will cut off magma flow, because the volcano won't produce more magma once it's over pressure from the magma there. So could have been a real serious problem. Definitely contributing to our heat issues. So I am building a oil reservoir tank up here just to have a space to put our oil. Another big issue I noticed was that the pipe that I had coming out of the oil biome, I just had it as a regular uninsulated pipe, and so 82 degree heat was transferring slowly into all the gases around as it came up, and then so this entire side of the map is in the 80 degrees marks, and that was going all the way up and across, so it was acting like a giant radiator for the base. So we are replacing all of those pipes with insulated pipes all the way through into here and across. and we're going to have the oil go into these reservoirs. Mostly because I was realizing that we could pull a lot of this oil out of the biome down here, and we could set up some better pumping for these systems down here in the future. But for now, it's just trying to get the heat under control. So I'm going to make it so that all the heat from the oil, including the oil and the petroleum, is in this little area here. And then that way we can seal that area and try to cool it separately, but we can keep it from spreading heat to the rest of the base. That's kind of the plan. For now, we're just moving it up here. We'll probably end up shifting them around once we decide exactly how we want to place everything. But at least we can get it all up here. So this is almost finished being built, and then I'll just have to change the connections for the oil. In fact, I can cancel these pipes because I'm not going to upgrade those to insulated because we're going to rip them out. So we're just going to have this system pump its liquid right in here, and we'll cut off this pipe coming into the boiler itself. It'll help with even more of the pipe spaghetti we got going on. So we'll let that finish up. Let's check out the coolant over here. We can see that the coolant line is down to 21 degrees, which means it's having a pretty solid effect on cooling the base now. It's pulling all that cool up here, and then when it comes into the base, it's at 21 degrees. As it leaves, it's at 29, so it's pulling 8 degrees out through that loop and slowly cooling everything off. And we'll get this all down to a nice livable temperature, so our duplicates have a nice, safe, and comfortable place to spend their nights. And once that's finished, we'll continue on with the rest of the base. I think that I have decided I'm just going to keep the dining hall as it is for now. I don't want to mess about with this the deep freezer. So I think I am going to move some of this stuff up here around a little bit, and then I'm going to move the bathrooms over to this side because we're going to be moving this section of storage out. For the liquid storage, we're going to be moving it to another section of the base. I do need to find a place where I can put in a liquid pump because I want to have access in here for them to be able to pump out liquid. But I'm basically just going to do a little pitcher pump setup that has automation so that it fills up to the point where they can get water, and then that's it. And then we won't have a huge storage of it hidden here. I think that the liquid storage may be best done over here so that the water is right close to the oxygen production, but that'll take some more thought. I want to get the rest of this finished first, so that'll be the next thing we work on. Be back in a few. Made a few changes to work with our food situation. One is that I set these automation for these fill chambers to be at 64. That way, as soon as these rooms are full, these will lock. That way I don't have these Slicksters jumping down for the time being. That way we can get the egg population built up, and then we'll work out how we want to do the fill chambers after that. May have to do it differently than what I was thinking. This I like this idea, but if it's interrupting with the egg production, it's interrupting. There's nothing I can do about that. Also, I extended the cooling loop from our base up to this area. It's cooling off pretty quick, and put in some mealwood. We don't have a ton of dirt, but we have enough dirt that we can get some mealwood growing to get some food to hold us over, because we're rapidly burning through all of our food supplies without the Slickster production. So for now, we'll leave it like this and let it build back up, and then we'll see what happens after that. I'm not quite sure how it's all going to work out, but we'll get there. The base itself is cooling down really nicely. Check to see. We have this set at 23, which is fine. We'll leave that there for now, see how it does. We also insulated all the pipes coming off the petroleum And this area still looks quite red, but like it was at 100 degrees, and now it's down to 83. It's dropping pretty quickly. Sealing this off helped too. So the heat around the base in general is just going down. Excuse me. Insulating oil pipes did the same thing over here. If we look at the temperatures, they're down into the 70s now. They were starting to get up to like 90 degrees. So just a couple little mistakes you make, and your entire base can get really wrecked pretty quick. So we're pumping out with two lines I installed to pump oil out of here up into our oil reserves over here. So we're going to get a back pile of oil there, see how that goes. And then that way we can stop pumping oil across the map quite as much, I think. We'll see how it all works out. We'll probably end up moving a lot of things by the time we're done, but for now, heat's getting under control, food's getting under control. If we could get the boiler to work the way I want it to, then that would be able to supply dirt for the mealwood indefinitely, and we wouldn't have to worry about pretty much anything. So pipes there we can't, or electric lines there we can't reach. Put in a couple of scaffolds, but the boiler is still a work in progress. So I think that's going to be it for today's episode. We've made some more progress towards our goals. We're going to come back and get this base finished in the next episode so that we can have everything finished before we move out. We're probably going to move this water storage system in between episodes, because it's not going to be all that interesting. We just have to figure out where to put it and pump everything out to where it's going to be for the final home for it. So when we come back, we'll be working on this base again and hopefully get it all finished, and then we'll be moving out to Gurgani finally. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.